Hi guys, welcome back to another forecast and projections. This will be for our new moon in Sagittarius. So as I'm filming this, the sun is in Scorpio and the moon is in Aries. So I feel like a lot of people are getting that get up and go energy that they were talking about in the full moon forecast and projections. And that won't happen until Tuesday of this week. So this upcoming week. So I'm transparent, I always film ahead of time. So, we're coming into the holiday season. For a lot of healers, this is a busy season because, we're getting into everybody's going to be going to holiday parties and Christmas shopping and everything like that. So it's just like, for me, it's like one way to get ahead of the game where it's just like, it's up. I don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? And it also gives us a lot more time to do a lot more personal readings, right? So I feel like it's just like, I feel like that get up and go energy. And I feel like this is what this new moon will be as well. So a lot of people I noticed that are, like I was on social media before I started recording because I was posting a video, just let everyone know. I'm posting today and just a little bit busy because I'm filming the new moon forecast and projections, but everybody's went and put up their tree. Some people are just taking it out. Some people are, organizing it. Me, I got like some decorations up. I was transplanting some plants yesterday, so it's just like, we were talking about this chi energy. So anyone with Scorpio, Aries, like this fire energy, because it's all water right now. So this fire, we're getting out of our emotions, we're stepping out, we're having a good time. For us, we celebrated my dad's and Shane's birthday, had a drink. It's just like having a good time, making the most out of life. And that's what life is all about, celebrating, I just ran out of time because Shabbat started because the nights are getting, shorter. So I was like, okay, didn't get the tree up and we had another inspection for the rayon machine. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like you try to get as much as you can done. And anyone that, celebrates Shabbat knows like we got 6 days to, get as much stuff as we can done. But, when that hour hits, it's like, all right, everything down, it's time for rest and rejuvenation, definitely feeling that. So with this new moon in Sagittarius, the greatest need is always to search for something. In order to feel safe, you may find that you need to have a goal, mission, philosophy that gives you life meaning. So it's just like get up and it's like, this is what routine is about. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's why we instill a routine when the kids are young. This is why we instill a routine as we get older. We know that the, days are getting shorter, so how can we bring that life and flavorty and energy into the day? Me, I started working out again, so it's just like, I don't know how many times I went up and down the stairs, on Friday, but it's just like, I could feel it and I'm just like, okay, go take a break because, my knees were acting up a bit. So I'm just like, or the one knee. So I'm like, okay, take a break and then go back at it. You know what I mean? It's like, get this done, get that done. Brought in all the plants from that were summer plants. It's like, okay, you're done. Sat there and, put it out in the forest and, whatever soil I could, I put in the garden to make the soil richer for the next year. So I feel like it's just like, when you sit there and it's like you set out, goals to accomplish things and you get them done, you just feel like so satisfied and gratified, that you got these things done. With the moon in Sagittarius, you feel an optimistic approach to life and you believe that things can get better even if you get into trouble. With no harm to none. We don't want to get into trouble. We're not going out looking for trouble. And that's one thing I always say to my kids. I don't hang around people that I know are going to bring trouble to my doorstep or bring trouble into my home. I don't do those kinds of things because I don't want those things associated with my lifestyle or with my children. It's like, growing up, certain things were brought to our front door that should have never been. So things that were in our household should have never been. You know what I mean? So I feel like we, as, we are the next generation, broke that. You know what I mean? We make sure that our household is a certain way. So things to be mindful, liver. So definitely it's like, yes, partake in an adult beverage, but if you're someone that has issues with your liver, it's like, yeah, drink responsibly. You don't have to drink to the point of blacking out or getting to the point that you're falling over. A lot of holiday parties are happening now. So you got to remember your boss is there. You know what I mean? Even though it's a holiday party, it's still work. So scrotum, thigh bone, tailbone. So our backs, hip muscles, hips, joints, lumbar, vertebrae, lumbar muscle. So I feel like, we don't have snow at that time, thank God. We we don't technically get our first snowfall until like the week before Christmas, thank God. Because when it comes, it really does come. So they were showing, I feel like it was the last forecast and projections, a lot of snow. I know they're saying we're going to have a deep, like, Arctic cold winter, especially in February. So it's like, it'll be interesting to see what happens because they're saying a deep cold. They're not saying so much precipitation. So, I'm just going by what universe is showing me. That's all I can do. Even just like when I do a reading, you may not understand it at the time, but that's what spirit has shown me. I know some people, it's like they don't understand it, and boom, it's like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what you're talking about. I didn't understand it at the moment, but look. So the one card that they were showing in the channel messages here was the star card, wish fulfillment. Some of us are going to find some of our wishes come true. They are continuing talking about this unknown source. I feel like sources of income coming in, but this is not long-term income. I feel like you may open one of those pull tickets, those little, where it's like, I think you get like maybe 10 for a dollar or 10 or 5, I don't know. You spend so much and you get so many, or maybe it's 10 for $10. I don't know what it is. I don't play that stuff that often. But it's like that kind of thing. It's like, you're like luck is on your side. It ain't a big windfall, but it's just like a little something put a smile on your face. Like, ooh, look, I took a chance and I followed my intuition. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's what they're talking about here. But I feel like they're saying wish fulfillment, a lot of things. I feel like we're just in a happy place. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's the biggest thing. Like, with myself, it's like when I set out a goal and it's like, I know what I have to accomplish in a day. And like sometimes we have to prioritize because life just gets busy, and it's just like, okay, even if we get that done, at least we got it done. We were responsible. We did what we were supposed to do. So we're going to get into our channel cards here. These three came out together and I feel like the universe brings this in, or there may be someone that is that, supporter, you know what I mean? Like keeps you grounded. I definitely feel like me and my son are definitely that combination. He's Gemini Cancer, which is, the ultimate, empress, nature. I hope I got that right. Yes, because the three of them are, yeah. I'm just trying to keep straight. It's so hard to keep the four boys straight because it's Michael, Tyler, Shavin, Jr. So it's hard to keep them all straight. But Michael possesses Cancer Gemini, and Jr. is Gemini Sagittarius. So he will be feeling great this time. But I feel like that fiery energy, absorbing the emotions, absorbing, this water, definitely going deep. I was definitely going deep because it was Shane's birthday. It's my father's birthday, but it's just like kind of keep it in perspective where it's just like, you know what I mean? Just celebrate them, show them that we love them, and, keep moving forward in a positive way. But I feel like with this Nine of Pentacles, if it isn't a romantic success, I feel like it's like taking it slow. Because she's in the city position, they're showing this beautiful crescent moon here. Oh, the moon has been so gorgeous lately. And the sky, oh my gosh. It's just like, it looks like someone just took a paintbrush and just gently went over with these fluffy clouds. And it's just, the stars are twinkling between it. It looks so beautiful. But it's just like, bringing balance in, but also taking our time. And it's like letting it reveal its story. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we paint these fantasies in our head, especially a partner coming in. And it's funny when you listen to the channel message, this is going to be kind of funny. It's just like, this grounding force comes in, or this financial security comes in from, a partner entity here. Because when we talk about our knights, we talk about someone coming in to stand by our side. And he's going towards the high priestess. And it's like, we don't know what the future lines up, but, we're excited to see what it means. But it's like having patience. Some information we don't know. Some we may require a little digging. You know what I mean? But it's just like, I don't feel like in a toxic way. I just feel like it's like taking our time. Let things reveal. Let it, Deborah Silver, I love her. She's like, with Jupiter in conjunction with Pisces, it's like the secret sauce. She goes, this is where our Pisces thrive. So I'm happy to hear that because some of my Pisces have been going through it. You know what I mean? So it's just like, what ways can we sit there and thrive, But it's also taking our time. It's like we don't have to rush through things in life. So we get this protective energy in here. We have the Page of Swords bringing in the truth. But look, we have this bird and it's standing guard over its nest. You know what I mean? So it's just like, birds technically are hibernating at this time. Look at the bareness of the tree, They're saying we see the raw bones of the tree. You know what I mean? At this point, they're absorbing all the nutrients they can from the rain and from the ground. So that way, when the harsh winds come of winter, and the cold and the ice, it won't. They will be able to sustain themselves through the winter. You know what I mean? So it's just like when we talk about the Page of Swords, it's like, you won't be able to get away with secrets and lies here because this page is going to come in and it's going to cut right to the truth. Be mindful of that. Queen of Swords is the same way. Look at the crimson red of her, communication. We were talking about this earlier last week. Communication. But I feel like in this sense, it's like, self-preservation. Unfortunately, someone I know met somebody and it's like, it was a shakedown. Immediately, it was like, trying to swipe the ATM, trying to pick, like they found someone found someone else's ATM card and they're trying to figure out the code and they keep playing around with it until it hits. You know what I mean? And they did it twice. And I'm like, they're showing you who they are. When someone shows you who they are, you freaking be like, that is a message from the universe. They are showing me exactly who they are. Like, let's not sit there and pretend like this didn't happen and get up and go. It's time to leave this situation. It no longer serves us. So we're going to get into our channeled messages. So the star card was the channel card that came in through here. New ideas flourish. So maybe I know someone that I love and admire, they started a new business and I could see, I was trying to share their stuff because I always do that. Any of my friends, there's actually two of them. They pointed out another one. They both have put up this business and I was trying to share it so that way, because I still have friends that live in that area and I'm just like, hey, just in case you didn't realize it, like, or you're looking for someone, this is a business you should look out for, you know what I mean? Or support a small business, Christmas shopping's coming. So great things to support there. So they're talking about prosperity. But remember what Spirit was saying. It's not going to be something that is sustainable. This isn't going to last forever. This is something that comes in and it's like, okay, so you know what you're going to do with this? You're going to sit there and they're saying spend it wisely. So maybe like, you have tuition is what they're bringing up. They're like, pay off the tuition. So maybe you went back to school and it's just like, now you can pay this off. So it's one less thing. So maybe you're taking those monthly payments and they're like, put it in a savings account. Maybe if you have children, put $5 away in an account for them. You know what I mean? You don't have to share to the world what you're doing. It's nobody's business. You know what I mean? But $5 does add up. Whenever you can put a little bit more in, put a little bit more in. So that when they become of age, it's like they have that, that money. It's like, is it a down payment for a car? Is it, going towards, it looks like driver's school lessons? Like, what do they need it for? Maybe they buy themselves a game console or something. It's their money to do with what they wish. But teaching them, it's like, you know what? I've been teaching my kids this. Have your partner and the two of you have your, funds for the house, for the bills, for the mortgage, for the rent, whatever it is. Then you have together a savings account. Then you have your own rainy day fund. You know what I mean? Because I know my kids are like myself where it's just like we like to buy things and see a smile on someone's face. That is in ourself what makes us happy. You know what I mean? It's not to buy people. It's just to say, I know this would put a smile on your face. Or I remember one person wasn't feeling well and I got them a coffee mug and I'm like, well, you're going to be drinking hot beverages anyway. And it's just something to put a smile on your face to make you feel better. You know what I mean? It wasn't much, but hopefully, this will put a smile on your face while you're under the weather. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but we got to be smart. We got to go back to this Queen of Swords. You know what I mean? We got to be to a point of self-preservation. This isn't from Throne Thursday, but what does she remind us? That was a hard lesson for myself where it's just like, you know what? There's, I love these guys and I don't ever want to go to them for those reasons. Like, I love them because I love them, not because of what I can get from them. And I hope and pray to God they never feel that way. But it's just like, little things like I can never articulate or even if I want $1 billion, you know what I mean? What they did for me when Shane passed away, being like, how are you? What can we do? What do you need? We're here for you. Just to hear that, like, you're not going through this alone was huge for me and my kids. You know what I mean? Because it's just like we stayed back in Toronto when everyone else left. You know what I mean? Like, two of my family members started brand new jobs that week and dropped everything and came to be with for us. You know what I mean? So it's like they risked their jobs to be there. Thank God their jobs were understanding, you know? Because it was like something that came right out of the blue. No one expected it. You know what I mean? So I don't even think he did, you know? So it's just like, you know, being there and looking out for others that look out for you. That's not even the point. It's just like we should all look out for each other, raise the vibration of the world. But it's just like, you know, we got to be smart. You know what I mean? We got to sit there and see the truth of the situation. People will show you who they are, and it's up to us. Either we're going to sit there and absorb that knowledge and use it to, you don't have to advertise it to the world, but it's like, you know, cutting to the truth of the situation. You know? We're cutting to the truth. They're showing us the truth. It's like, here's the truth of the situation. Either you're going to take this and use it as you go forward, or you're going to sit there and you're going to repeat this lesson because you didn't learn it. So it will not last forever. So spend smart. Kids love you for it. So I guess it's like something that will bring happiness to the whole family. It's not just about yourself. Universe is on your side. Life is too short to sweat over small stuff. Move, more money coming in. Pay off bills. Now is not the time to party. Life gets better. So they're showing January, and then they showed 31st, and I'm like, okay. And then they showed the 1st, and I'm like, well, is this the 31st to the 1st of February? But they just showed January. They didn't show February. And they're like 31st to the 1st. And I'm like, okay, so is this the whole month of January here? You know, when we talked about that cards that we did on the 24th, it was thrown Thursday, and they said that week was going to define the rest of the year. And boy, did it. And it was like they showed the Wheel of Fortune. They said, stuck situations, we're going to move forward. Prosperity, and financially, and with love. For some, it was one or the other. For some of us, it's both. You know what I mean? But I feel like we also make those decisions. You know what I mean? Like, there was a situation that happened on Friday, and it had nothing to do with him. I was just like, you know, I was kind of put off that they were late. It was an inspection. But it was just like, it wasn't that I was shut off. I was just tired. Like, I had just done a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to cook a dinner. Because during the week, it's like, I cook food, but it's nothing like you make. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like, you know, something that takes time, like where it takes hours, and then you have this beautiful dinner. This is just something that you quickly pop in the oven, and it's done. You know what I mean? So it's just like when and that's one thing I was saying to the boys. I'm like, you know, what a wonderful thing. You know, this is totally, truly like the essence of your dad. You know, a home cooked meal. He would order Chinese food, but it's like, we loved home cooked meals. You know what I mean? We loved, you know, he loved a homemade chocolate cake. I just, you know, I bought one because I was just like, I don't know, you know, how I'm going to feel that day. So I'm just like, I'll just buy one and we can do a celebration. So they're showing a black cat. So looked like it was kind of like Sailor Moon's cat, but you didn't see the moon on the head, on her forehead. You know what the funny thing is? I had a cat. My first pet was a kitten named Star, and I named it Star because on his forehead looked like a star. It was so cute, but that just popped in my head. But they're saying this is going to be a sign to buy this house. So I feel like you're going to go somewhere, and that cat is going to be the sign to buy it. So somehow something comes in that you're able to buy a home. So the star, this is where the star comes in, wish fulfillment. So they're saying you don't need a partner to fulfill your life. You know what I mean? So we're showing on that back corner there where it's just like someone comes in, but this could be a situation where financial, you know, like with the knight, you know, he's supposed to be someone that stands by your side, guardian universe. The universe said they were by your side in a major way. You know what I mean? But I feel like this could be something coming in that sense, maybe out of the blue. You weren't expecting it. You know what I mean? Sometimes we expect something like, you know, paycheck or anything like that. I don't spend it unless it's in my account. And so it's like, you're not in my account, I ain't touching it. I don't, you know how like sometimes you know like, oh, this is coming in so I could spend it, and you know when it comes in I'll just put it on the cards, like you spend it off your card. And I'm just like, I've had so many times where I was just like, I'm counting on this, so I'm going to spend the money before it hits my account, and then it's just like something happens. And I'm like, don't do that no more. Like, hard lesson learned, you know? So, don't need a person like a partner by your side. Your children are doing better and better. So like, especially if they've gone through situations like ourselves, where it's just like, one way didn't work, let's try another way. uh, your children will see who you are. So seeing, you know, I feel like as children mature, and I definitely did when I moved out, and I realized how much bills that you have to pay when you live on your own, and what you're responsible for. I was just like, I was like I went to my mom, like, as a single mom, I'm like, damn, like, thank you for, I could see how hard it is. You know what I mean? And she said that was the biggest compliment someone could ever give her, is like, realizing how hard it is. Yeah, when we reached a certain age, we all paid rent and stuff, but still, it's just like, as a single parent, or a single guardian, to raise children and have that kind of weight on your shoulders is never easy. I feel like it's also the way that you raise your kids. Like, like me and my sister have always let the kids help us cook and clean. And, I was watching the Duggars way back when the kids were younger. And she's like, even if they don't vacuum properly or do the dishes properly, she's like, let them do it, because if you sit there and correct them, she's like, they won't want to do it. And I'm like, okay. So I always kept that in mind, so, they would vacuum, and I'm like, hey, you know what? But they did a great job when they were younger, you know what I mean? And it's just like, at least they did it, you know what I mean? Even now, they want to put away the groceries or anything like that. It's like maybe not the way you would do it, but it's like at least they did it. One less thing for you to do. Everybody knows the worst thing is going grocery shopping, standing in those bloody lines, putting it in your car, taking it out of your car or vehicle, where however you transport your groceries, and then putting it all away. It is just the most it is the worst task ever. So they're saying let them in. You know what I mean? Like, let them into who you are. Let them to get to know you as a person. And I feel like as you get older, you can do those things, because it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, they are developing into the individuals that they are. You can see how mature they are, responsible, and X, Y, and Z. And it's like, the pressures of, encouraging them or being on their butt about school. It's just like that kind of lays to the wayside, because it's just like they're responsible for themselves. It's like they know what they have to do, you know? So they're showing like kind of like, when you do like you watch a holiday movie or something, they're showing that kind of perspective where they're looking from the outside in, and the house is lit up, and you're playing like cards at the table, or you're playing a board game or something like that, and they're just kind of saying like that's what life is about. Like, that's what family is about. Like, we sit there, we get together, we get like treats, and we'll watch holiday movies and stuff like that. And that's one of our favorite pastimes to do, is like sit there and it's like, okay, what are we gonna watch this week? So it's just like, bringing that fun and flavor in. They're showing gingerbread. Gingerbread's been really potent with me lately. But it's just like, those little things that you can do to bring that spirit into the home. What is the biggest thing to bring the spirit into the home? As soon as you put up the tree. That's why for me, I was just like, okay, I got to get these plants, you know, um, inside, get the ones that are, annual, that are in potters, and sit there and, close off the backyard for the season. You know what I mean? So that way, because I have to move some furniture, so I gotta block off the back door there. So it's just like, what a pain to go back in and out of there, So it's just for, a couple of months, which is fine. But I am grateful when I could put when I could put it back. But it is what it is. But I feel like we forget about that. You know what I mean? And I feel like we're getting out and do things. They're showing like I don't know if it's a market. They have it in Toronto where they close off this one section, and I know you could buy like hot chocolate and you can see the lights and stuff like that. But I feel like you could do shopping and craft beers. I feel like it's in the distillery district is where it is. I can't remember the name of the celebration though, but that's what they're just showing right now. Buying a fresh tree. I can't. I'm allergic, so I have a tree that we use every year. So it's like, I like the ones. I think my girlfriend does this. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's a potted Christmas tree, and then she plants it when the ground thaws. I think that's a brilliant idea if you get a real tree. So we're getting into our cards, and we have the Two of Cups. I love the fact that it's like head to head. You know what I mean? Two become one. But I feel like, um, I feel like, again, it's just like maybe you guys just see each other, like, what you guys give to each other. You know what I mean? Like, I was even saying to, and I don't mean that in a weird sense, but I feel like, me and my son, we're both air signs. You know what I mean? But we both have that. I feel like we did when we didn't. You know what I mean? Like, I know he was closer to his dad, but it's just like, we would cook together all the time. That was our thing. Anytime I was cooking, can I help? Very young, he's like, can I make my own peanut butter and jelly sandwich? I'm like, sure, have at it. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, if you want to make your own sandwich, go for it. And he's like, can you watch me? And I'm like, for sure. And he's like, okay. And he would get the bread out and do everything. And I'm just like, good job. Like, to this day, he'll sit there and he'll do that. But like today, we were making meatballs. We were making spaghetti and meatballs. And the meatballs were cooking, and I was doing the sauce. And he's like, "Can I add some spices?" I'm like, "Oh, have at it." So he's stirring gently, and he put some spices, and he's like, "Taste it." I'm like, "Yeah, that tastes really good." And, we're adding some cheese and stuff to the sauce, and he's just like, "Did I do good?" I'm like, "Yeah, you did great." Like, like he's trusting his ability. He's testing his skills. You know what I mean? He eyeballs how much spice he puts in, right? And he just sat there and he just did it. And I'm like, well, a little bit more, onion and a little bit more salt, and because we use the Himalayan salt, so you got to use a little bit more than traditional table salt to give it that flavor. So it turned out to be a really nice meal, and we did it together. And I'm like, see, we make a great team. But it's just like those fun little moments, like, with, I have pictures on Facebook when he was in diapers, and I'm making curry and roti, and he's sitting there and he's like, can I roll out the roti? I'm like, absolutely. His brother would get into it because he's like, oh, look what he's doing. When we would bake cakes, they would both come over and they would take a turn, with using the mixer to, mix the cake mix or cookie mix, whatever we were doing. So it's just like involving in them in that way, and I feel like that's where it's just like reconnecting in that way. I feel like the world has opened up, but I feel like, there's some opportunities here, especially with, like, I feel like where they're saying, like, especially if you're in the type of season where, like, with us in Canada, where we're putting away all of our winter stuff or all of our Halloween stuff, and now we're bringing out all the Christmas stuff, and it's like, we don't have to worry about cutting the grass every 3 days, every week, we don't have to worry about watering the garden, it's like, you don't realize how meticulous it is or how tedious it gets when you're like, oh my gosh, like, we're appreciative when the fruits come in, but it's like when you're exhausted. And it's just like, oh my gosh, and especially with us, because, just for safety, security reasons, moving stuff from the back door, it's just like, that's the last thing you want to do is move all of that and water the garden. You're just like, ugh, but it's just like, this time where it comes in before the snow hits, where you can just, just be like, huh, can relax, that time you would spend outside cutting the grass or doing this or doing that, you can go watch a movie with them or playing cards or something that makes you guys happy. So what we were just talking about brings in the sun. The best card you can pull in the tarot. You know what I mean? They talk about good fortune and prosperity. They usually say, like, the sunflowers in this card, success will surround you. And success is not only money. Success is your family life, love, happiness, togetherness. It's like you cannot put a price tag on that because we all know, kids are going to get to a certain age, and by the grace of God, they're able to afford to buy their own home. Nowadays it's just like, what they say in Toronto? I think it's like $1 million for a down payment or $500,000 for a down payment. It's like, who the hell has $500,000? Like, oh my goodness, But it's just like, and look at the trees as well. That's one thing I love about the trees, the bareness of the trees. And we're talking about, shorter days. It's like, get out and enjoy the sun when you can, I was talking about snowshoeing. Ooh. I'm not a fan of the snow, but it's like on a nice warm day, it's like, yeah, why not try it? Wheel of Fortune. Situations are moving forward. I gotta just roll in, but zoom in. Look at this dragon here on the red. He's just having a good old time. They're all having a great time, And I feel like that's what it's about. I love the fact that some of them are reading books. It's like gaining knowledge. So maybe you're gaining a new skill here where you're, you well, they're showing me palm reading. That's something I was really interested in. I didn't have time when I learned the ancient Chinese oracle, Garavoic numbers, Viking runes. I learned the witches runes. And this is something else that I was really into is palm reading. So another thing to learn, you know what I mean? And it's just like whatever you're drawn to, it's just like, give it your energy. You know, I've talked about this where I would love to do Delbra Silverman's class that she offers for it to become a certified astrologer. You know, so who knows? You know, one day it'll happen. It's right now, it's just the hustle and bustle of it all. Who has time? So we have strength. And I love the fact, a lot of red, you know, crimson red. She has looks like a red pendant right over her heart chakra. You know, she has a rose above her on like her aura. But I love the fact it's just like, you know, she's finding peace. Even with the snake, you know, facing her in that stance where he's going to attack, it's just like, you know, kind of like a snake charmer. Oh my God, that sounds so bad. But you know what I mean? It's just like able to, like, you know, face things, or just able to be at peace, you know, able to expand, able to grow, you know? I definitely feel like great time, you know, especially when we're inside more. You know what I mean? We have more time inside. It's like find that time and space to meditate. You know, like I was saying, like, you know, Bath and Body. Some of them are a little bit more potent, but I'll put them, like, you know, on the landing or something. So it really, I feel like it was a little too close. I feel it's still a beautiful scented candle, but some of them are a little stronger than others. Like I had the gardenia, and that was a little too strong, and cactus blossom. They both smell brilliant, but it's just when it's a little too potent, it starts to affect my allergies and my lungs a lot. So it's just like I feel like in that where your senses come in, you know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of us, like, you know, smell of apple pie or gingerbread or whatever, you know, sugar cookies. That's one of my favorite smells is sugar cookies. But it's just like bringing those, you know, beautiful scents into the home. So we got the Queen of Pentacles again. So it's Friday's cards. You know, I know this isn't until the end of the month. You know, we got this Queen of Pentacle again. And I feel like you're the provider. Remember how I was saying, like, we buy things to, not going out, like, to a point where we break the bank, but it's like Christmas time is coming. So it's like buying things we know people are going to love, but use and enjoy. You know what I mean? So putting, like, you know, I love thoughtful gifts because it's like, it's you're just not buying things. Yes, there are times, especially with teenagers, it's like, you know, buying them a gift card because it's just like, you know, their what they wear changes, what they drink changes, what they, you know, maybe the cologne that they wear changes. So it's just like, you know, you're still finding yourself, you're trying to figure yourself out as a teen. So it's like, you know, that makes the most sense where it's like you can buy what you want that puts a smile on your face because I have no idea what to buy you, you know. So one thing I love is they're showing me sneakers, is that my nephew is a sneakerhead, and so is his stepfather. So it's like, you know, we all sit there and pitch in, and we're like, this is what we're going to contribute for Christmas, and they could sit there and buy themselves a pair of sneakers. You know what I mean? So it's like they could sit there and be like, you know, they got something they really wanted. You know what I mean? And I feel like with the hair here is being smart. You know what I mean? Sitting there, and it's just like, this year I was totally proactive because I was just like, you know, I spoke of this and I was just like, you know, I have, you know, family that some live in Toronto, some live in now in Australia. So it's just like, you know, I remember even though they lived in Toronto, I ordered the second week in November and it was late. I was so mad. I'm like, how in the heck is that late? I'm like, they literally live in the same area that the distribution center is. Like, how in the heck did that come after Christmas? I was infuriated. But I also understand it's, you know, that time of the year. But it's just like, if I order the second week of November, I expect them to get it like the first week of December. If, like, worst case scenario, because I understand post office, Purelators, everything are busy. You know what I mean? But I was just like, nope. I'm playing that this year. No, sorry, Bob. You know what I mean? It's like, start taking care of it. So I'm the type of person that gets anxious because I'm just like, you know, I know who I'm going to buy for. And it's just like, you know, start picking one by one off. And it's just like, you know, you could breathe a little, you know, you feel elated because it's just like, oh, it's Christmas. I bought for everybody. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to run around into stores. I hate going to the store. But it's just like, I don't have to worry about none of that. You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh, take a sigh of relief. Whew, it's done. You know what I mean? So it's just like doing what makes sense to you. If you're the type of person that waits last minute, you know, God bless you. I'm not I hate the malls. I hate the stores. Online shopping is for me. I don't want to be no part of that. So I begin my day with love, positive oracle card. And I feel like with that, it's just like, with myself, sometimes I'm like half asleep because, I just the way I am now. But it's just like, always try to remember, especially when the sun is up, like, for me, it's just like, thank you, God, for another beautiful day on your beautiful, blessed earth. This is what I say. You don't have to say the same things as me. Thank you for watching over us while we're asleep and keeping us united as a family, because we know, more than a lot of some, thank God, count your blessings. You never had to experience that, like that, someone can be taken away, I, I felt that way with my dad, but it's just like, oh, he was 54, but I was like, that's still young. You know what I mean? But 36, it was just like, damn, it hits different. My happiness can be measured by by the level of the faith in my love. You know, I feel like we have to stop sitting there and saying, my life is only good unless X, Y, and Z is happening. I will be happy when, like we put a lot of emphasis on our appearance, on our weight, on our how much money we're making, what kind of home we live in, what our children look like, what do they accomplish, and X, Y, and Z. And it's like, as long as all of you are happy and healthy by the grace of God, that's all that matters. You know what I mean? Like, we got to start putting our energy into the things that actually need energy into it. If, me, I feel like I have more mental clarity when I work out. I just feel better when I work out. I feel like my thoughts are more free flowing. You know what I mean? Like, I like going to bed and it's just, I'm tired. And when I hit the pillow, I'm out. I don't have time to think about things I shouldn't be thinking about. So everybody has a different way of doing that. So I just, like, with me, it's just, I have my routine, upload, the daily card, go upstairs, devotion, bed, you know, that's my routine, so it's just like everybody's routine is different. I feel like as long as you are doing what makes you happy, that's all that matters. We have to stop putting so much emphasis on certain things in life. That's what they want us to do. Preoccupy us while you don't have this and you don't have that. They sat there and it's like you have to, you have to buy a home. It's like nobody can afford a home. So, you know what I mean? Like, unless you are blessed enough to have, some parents, it's like, here's the down payment or, whatever it is. It's like, you're very lucky, you're very blessed, or you're able to get in the game before it all blew up the way that it did. You know what I mean? So who knows what's going to happen? These clowns are just having a muck. If I want to feel supported, I must support myself. Yep. Universe even says they support you. You know what I mean? Like, they bring certain things to our attention. You know what I mean? One thing I was talking about my son is just like, he had this intuition. And he's just like, I felt like I had to do this. And I said, that's good. I said, because it shows you to follow your gut. And I said, that's amazing. You know what I mean? I'm like, start following your gut. I'm like, sometimes I go against my gut and I'm like, damn, why didn't I just listen to myself? You know what I mean? Why didn't I just listen to them when they were giving me this, hunch, this, they talk about synchronicities and stuff like that, There's no coincidences, they're telling you that for a reason. Your vibration is on high because of a reason. Happiness is a choice I make. I love the colors of this. Looks like the night sky when the sun set. Yeah, it is. Not life may have not turned out the way that you planned, but it's just like, what? It doesn't mean that your story is over. You still are the author of your story. You still have a story to tell. You still have a journey to go upon. It's what you do with it. Sometimes we don't even see the ending coming. It's like, maybe we may get some warning signs. So hindsight is 2020. Now that I think of it, certain things I've shared before with Shane, but it's just like, what can you do? You got to sit there and, feel what you're feeling, but you got to keep moving forward. You can't let that dictate the rest of your life, because it's just like, you're going to get to your end of the days and it's like, I wasted all this time feeling sorry for myself or, harping over this situation. And it's just like, I could have lived the rest of my life doing X, Y, and Z. I missed out on all of this stuff because I was so uh, obsessed or so encompassed by these emotions. It's like you keep going deeper and deeper into the water. When we talk about the shadow side of water, there's so many, there's like, I think 6 planets in water. It's just like you sit there and it's just like, you gotta be, universe is the life raft, you gotta make that choice. Like, that's why I share those things. I don't want people to feel bad for me. It's just like, it was a choice. Am I gonna sit there and feel this way every single Christmas and ruin it for everybody? Or am I gonna sit there and say, you know what? It's a celebration. You know what I mean? Hanukkah really changed that because it brings the light in. But we can't help how we feel, but that's where I was just like, you know what? When I feel like decorating, I'm going to sit there and decorate. I wanted to have my tree up on Friday, but unfortunately, just the powers that be and everything that we had going on, it just didn't happen. So I got some ornaments up, and I'll start picking at it. Remember, they told us that, even if you have to start picking, and some of us have bins of stuff, like we have nutcrackers, and someone gave us dancing Santa and stuff like that. So it's just like, getting those things out when you can. I'm sure we'll get the tree out probably this week or by next weekend, but it's like, we're getting there. We're starting to get things ready. We got our theme for this Christmas tree year, so it's just like getting ready. Buying pieces for Hanukkah. That's one thing I really enjoyed this year. We had pieces for Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah. I want to get some for Passover. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like really, making it a celebration. You know what I mean? To have those things in the house. So it's just like, I remember I saw someone, it was like I think the mom was Jewish and the dad was Christian, or the other way around. And they said they always made the holidays always so much more fun because all the celebration and love and light was in the world or in the home. So as we have the Wheel of Fortune in these situations happening, we talk about something coming out of the blue here, with the Nine of Pentacles. It's like we have, strength is literally right there. It's like we have what it takes. We see the crimson red. So we're getting a lot of this red color, communication, grounding ourselves. We're talking about this meditation state, grounding ourselves. Thinking about the trees. We were talking about that. Their roots keep getting deeper into the ground, and they're making sure that they're able to sustain the winter. It's what we make of the winter. The only thing that sucks is actually shoveling. The rest of it I don't mind so much, but it's just like, ugh. When it's like weeks of just gloomy skies, you're just like, ugh, like, But it's like, light some candles. Sit there and put some candles on, put on a nice movie or a TV show and turn the lights off and, just have the light illuminating from the candle fill the room. So we have the swords, the pentacles, the wands, the cups. This is the life experience that we have to weave magic and move forward, following our intuition, to move forward. We literally have the sun here, lots of positivity. We have the sun and it's like, moving something forward here. We have the intuition, we have the strength, we have the experience. We are a nurturer, to get through whatever, situations come. It's for us to learn, to make us stronger. So again, looking out over the water, something's coming in out of the blue that will come in that will be financially, sustainable here. So for some, this is Christmas bonuses. We were talking about that. They were highlighting, with Shane, I think it was right around now, they would sit there and he would think about it. They give him a week to think about it. And he would talk to me about it. And he's like, what do you think are my best traits? And I would tell him, and he would just like brainstorm. Did he use what I gave him? I don't know. He never went over the final product with me, but it's just like, I would always tell him, I'm like, you do the job of 6 people. And he's like, no, I don't. I'm like, yeah, you do. Like, the fact that the president asked him to do a project, I'm like, you think the president's going around just asking anybody to do projects? Like, come on, That's why we still have his trophies up and everything like that, So it's just like, they don't go unseen. He should be proud of those things, Just like, I'm not getting into that, but someone else I knew had their, accomplishments and what they contributed and what they did. And I feel like that's something they should be proud of. You accomplished that. You know what I mean? You worked hard. This is who you are. That's your character. You know what I mean? It's for who they are and what they do. Three and one, something's going to come in here financially. It's not going to last forever, but it's be smart with it. Like this said, it's not time to party and go crazy. Keep it to yourself. So for some of you, when we were talking about the lovers, we had the Two of Cups here. Something's coming out of the blue here. They're talking about love. But like as they reminded you, you don't need this person in your life. You can do it on your own. I kid you not, there's a verse I wrote down, and they said, yeah, it's nice to remarry after you've become a widow and stuff like that. It's written in the Torah. I'm sure it's written in the Bible and everything else. This said, but the smartest thing you could do is stay single. And I feel like, I understand that to a point where it's just like, it's like so you don't have to relive that again. And I feel like, my kids have articulated that as well. We're afraid that if, we'll have to relive this again. And I'm like, I understand. I've been told as much. So it's just like, do you sit there and open yourself up for that, or you just live your life? It's hard. I know someone that's gone through this, so it's like, everybody's different. You open yourself up, you don't. But this is all about, I kid you not, I saw this big arrow in the sky. It looked like an angel shooting. It was out of the clouds. And it looked like a big bow and an arrow. And I was like, oh, that looks like Sagittarius. And then you could see this like angel on the side, like they're pulling this back. Kind of like Cupid's arrow. And this is what they talk about with the Eight of Wands. Something coming out of the blue. When does this happen? When you're not even looking for it. Spirit has been talking about this since January 24th. For some of us, this isn't going to happen. Some of us, like they were talking about, they're like, you kind of closed yourself off there in that situation on Friday. You didn't really pay attention. You didn't give them, I was being a snot. I was just tired. I was just like concentrating on dinner. It's just like, I don't want to kiki too much and then I burn it. You know what I mean? So it's just like, closing myself off for an opportunity, but it's at the same time, it's just like, not really engaging in that behavior either. You know what I mean? It's just, by that time I was ready to call it a day. You know what I mean? It was just like, get dinner done and, just chill for the rest of the night. I think I was able to transplant one more plant. Yeah, I think I did. I can't remember. But unfortunately, some of one of my cactus, I'm trying to bring it back to life, got incinerated in that heat wave in August. Poor thing. I love my cactuses. I got a white cactus. It's really cool. And my Christmas cactus is blooming right now, too. So that's exciting. So it's just like moving them around. My money tree, I don't know if it was, I watched this TikToker and he's like, add this and add that. And it killed two of my plants that I did it to. So I'm just like, okay, just trust my green thumb and don't do that again. So I got another money tree, put that in the bigger pot, threw out the old soil. And then the one that I'm trying to bring back to life, I put in a smaller pot. Hopefully with some love and TLC, it'll come back to life, but we'll see what happens. But, it's just, I love plants. Brings oxygen into your house, which is pretty amazing, but it's just, I don't know. Bringing the outdoors in is just really nice. Except birds. Ugh. My God, messy little buggers. So what we were talking about, this happy home life, you know what I mean? It's like unconditional love. What we make of it, you know what I mean? It's where we put our energy into. We can either put our energy into a situation that can breed toxicity, or we can put it into things that will make that dimmer and dimmer. It took me a long time to sit there and, I don't know if I'm my own best friend. I'm still, what can you do? It is what it is. But it's just like, sitting there and it's just like being comfortable with who you are and where you are in life and don't care what anyone else thinks, I feel like you get to that point in life, especially when you've gone through experiences, it's like, this is who I am. And if you can't accept who I am, then I'll salute to you, no sweat off my back, You just get to that point in life, you just want to be happy and you want peace. You don't need toxic things in your life. So I was actually given this by my girlfriend. So, out of which life is born, this magic, the world that opens doors into unpredictable perspectives. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I talk about that reading, and you don't have to, read or put your faith into the same things as I do or anything that you do. It's just like, you know, the perspective as a single person, as a partner, you know, wife, mother, widow, it's all different. It all speaks to you differently. You know what I mean? It all speaks to you differently, you know? And it's just like, even this situation, it's just like, it's this perspective you see it from. It happened, you know what I mean? We got to move forward. We can't live in it. We can't, breed this ground. It's like, you know what I mean? And especially as the elders of the family, we can't sit there and breed this ground for our kids to come in because that's the way they're going to see it. When life throws us lemonades, when these things happen, we have to sit there and just, they're saying be a martyr. Sit there and just be like, oh, poor me, nah, 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 nah. Or we just sit there and be like, you know what? It happened. One foot in front of the other. You know what I mean? Find your unconditional love. You know what I mean? Be your unconditional love. Maybe you're lucky enough to have a faith-based system. Maybe you're lucky enough to have, that fellowship in your life that will help you bring that back into your life and remind you of that magic of life. You know what I mean? The magic in life. Sometimes we have to go through these things to just be a hefty reminder how lucky we are. So that which seems a problem often avers itself to be the best thing that could have ever happened to you. You know, I never wanted to see myself in a certain situation, and here I am, and it's just like, it gave me the peace and stability that I needed. You know, it was, sometimes the people that lived around us weren't the best, but you know what? Now we have two people that are, family oriented, that just want to do the right things by their kids, and it's just like everything is fluid. Everything is, namaste. Everything is just like, we keep to ourselves, we do our own thing, and that's the way it should be, Not trying to stir the pot or cause drama or trying to involve ourselves in people's lives that don't want, they just want to live their life, Not everybody wants to be a part of everybody's life, You shouldn't have to force people to be in your life, When you have to do that, it's like, you're obviously doing something wrong. Spirit brought this up this week. Service is the opposite of greed. You know what I mean? Being of service. Whatever it is, holding the door open for someone. They're showing a gentleman holding a door open for an older woman, offering to carry her bags. You know what I mean? So it's just like, and what ways can, like, that's what I'm talking about. Doing something, not expecting anything in return, and just doing it because it makes you feel good, and it's the right thing. This is one of more of the deeper cards, but there are beings who do not exist on the physical plane, but have their being on their planes. We have our being on our planes. And I feel like, the physical planes is, I feel like, the transformation. I just saw something, and I didn't want to repost it because I'm like, I don't want that to come off as, this physical life is bad. It's not. Bad things happen. We can't control the world, and that's the biggest thing you got to tell yourself is we can't control every situation. All these things are in our face, and it's like they teach us to be well-rounded, but then they slam it down our throat so much it becomes effing depressing. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, be well-rounded, knowing what's going on in politics and the government and the world, and yeah, but it's like there comes a point it's just like, when it's always bad, 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 it's like, the hell are you supposed to be happy? You know what I mean? It's not putting your head in the sand. It's just saying, I can be educated to a point where I feel comfortable. When it becomes something that is forced down my throat and is forcing a narrative that I don't like, I have the power to remove it from my life. I feel like this is for more of our deeper people that have that sight, that have seen the other side of things, and it's just like, you understand it, It's just like, it makes the resurrection make more sense, too. It's like, and I feel like, going to tribal trails, I feel like there's multiple ones, when we see the evolution of the world. I feel like there is coming up when we make that evolution from what we know as the world now into, like, flying cars and on robots being more, in more a normal thing and all that, where people are actually able to, go flying out in the sky like an airplane, but it's like, to other planets, you know what I mean? Like close by, like, how they're trying to develop Mars. I feel like the moon, then Mars. I feel like they're going to sit there and make this kind of transport, but, will we see that in our lifetime? I don't know. So we have the Five of Birds. So this is the more deeper deck. This is from the Shining Woman. This is a book I love and hate at the same time, like a tarot deck. So they're saying, look at the image of the dead shaman and look at the vulture circling, the vultures singling overhead. So this is kind of reminiscent of what I went through. You know, you're a light person, a power of light, and this situation comes in to destroy you, to pick your bones. This happened to me almost 6 years ago. You know what I mean? And it's telling us to look at our situation. So this is the Five of Swords. So this Five of Birds is the Five of Swords. So this is a word of weapons. I feel like this is where they're showing the word liver right now. When we're going back into the actual definition of what we should look out for, it is liver. So maybe you drink and you don't articulate yourself in the best way. So it's just like, okay, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't drink then. Or maybe, you drink around a certain person and they bring out the worst in you. So it's just like, you know what? Maybe not indulge. Maybe have one glass and that's it. You got to watch how you consume. You know what I mean? Drink to a point of celebration, but not to a point where it turns ugly. You know what I mean? Or maybe their words are ugly. That's what the Five of Swords is about. A war of words. So they're saying allow old pains to die away. Sacrifice to recover from wounds. Honest acceptance of loss. Power from confronting a situation. So, you know what I mean? That's what they're talking about here. And I feel like that's where, unfortunately, a lot of us with cough that happened, it's just like a lot of us lost a lot of good people for no reason. You know what I mean? It's just to push an agenda, to make the rich richer. You know what I mean? And I feel like instead of having the vultures descend and letting them make the situation worse, I feel like it's like stand back up on your feet and let that light come back in. And I feel like the sun. Look at his crown chakra. It looks literally like the sun is around his head. We talk about a halo. You know what I mean? So it's like either we could let the vultures descend and let that take over our life, or we could sit there and bring back our light and be that light force in this world. So we have the star twice here. Back to back we have the star. Not back to back, but in the same, we call this the Star of David. Everybody, it was the brightest star in the sky, the biggest star in the sky. We followed that star, to find Jesus. And I feel like, with this, it's just like, look, she's pouring the pictures out equally. Allowing our emotions, grounding our emotions, staying grounded in our emotions, period. 1 foot on the water, 1 foot on the land, staying grounded. Understanding of what we've gone through and that we can feel what we're feeling, but we don't let it overtake our life. So breakthroughs, we had the Wheel of Fortune, revolution, dramatic, possibly violent change. Hopefully not violent change. Overwhelming experience. I feel like, 1 plus 7 is 8. Yeah, this book will have its definition, but I feel like, you know what I mean? For me, I feel like it's just grounding our emotions. I feel like, allowing things to happen in life. Again, with the yellow, following our intuition, I feel, with the way that it transforms, the color of the actual card and the way that it looks on the phone are two different colors. So it's like more of like a limeish green. But this here, it looks like yellow through the actual screen. So I feel like following our intuition, and I feel like it's just like, let our emotions come out, feel what we're feeling, but it's just like not making a home there. Sometimes we watch certain things and it kind of triggers something in us. You know what I mean? So it's just like, feeling those feelings in that moment. But again, it's just like carrying forward. Don't let it overtake your life. So we have place of trees. So just kind of concentrating a little bit on the physical appearance where it looks like they're both are feminine entities here. And it looks like this one is offering, like getting on one knee to offer a date, So out of the blue. And it looks like it's a cycle here from the crescent moon to the full moon. If you look above the water, kind of looks like the unconditional love, It looks like it's the cycle of tree. Oh, maybe it's on both of them. Looks like the leaves are dropping, so like fall. So we have place of trees. So the trees in this deck are wands. Fire again. So place of trees is a sanctuary, a sacred grove in the heart. So going back to the one card there, was it the queen? Maybe it was the strength card with the rose above her head and stuff. Yeah. I feel like, filling, a grove in the heart, heart chakra, with that red charm over her heart chakra, where we can feel our lives flourish like heavenly trees in the light of the sun. We got the sun card as well. The picture from a mural seal from ancient crater, possible the most developed civilization of goddess in the pre-Greek European. So in this, we're seeing growth, feeling safe, rooted. We were talking about that earlier. So that's probably, it looks broken though. It doesn't look like roots to me, but everybody's images are different. It looks like fallen leaves to me. A positive environment, good health. So I feel like, in all, just feeling good. And I feel like, the Ten of Cups, I feel like it's like everything is in a good place, as we try to make it be. Everything, we know good health starts with us, what we're putting into our bodies, the environment we live in. Like the sounds, if it's always chaotic, then it affects us in a chaotic way. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's just like, how much do we actually play a role in our mental, spiritual well-being, physical well-being, and I feel like with this, it's like your home, highlighting your home, making it that sanctuary that we all love. We come home, we want to go home because we love our home. So we have the Seven of Rivers. So rivers is cups. So this is, for me, is like a vision board. So a good reminder. I don't do my vision board probably until the last week of December, but I'll probably start it earlier just because it's busier. But on my Shabbat days, I can do this as well, where it's just like, what do I want for 2023? You know what I mean? I look at my boards from before and I'm like, what came in. One of the things we did put on there was sunny. So it's just like, that's one thing that happened. We're very thankful for. You know what I mean? What are the things that we still want to come into our life? And I put my stuff and my kids' stuff as well. And it's just like, what do we want to bring in? When we look at the Seven of Rivers, it's just like, for me, when I see the stone head, I feel like a partner. When I see the cup of jewels, I feel like, where we talk about, financial endeavor. So like they were talking about a student loan. So it's like, bringing in that money where, with no harm to none, where this comes from. And it's like, I'm able to pay off that student loan, and that way it puts more money in my pocket. So maybe I'm able to afford better food. It's cheaper to buy cheap food than to buy healthier food. We know it only lasts for a week. So it's like you have a week to eat it. And if you don't feel like eating it at that time, it goes to waste. So they want us to have fantasies, inspiration, wonders, journeys. One thing I was saying to myself, it's like, I don't know if I ever go to these places I've ever wanted to. You know what I mean? And then I see someone that I admire the most, like a lot. I love her art, and, to see what she went through, she's picking herself up. She's making, lemonade out of lemons, and here she is going to the places she's never even imagined. She was afraid of flying and everything. And here she is in these wonderful places that I wanted to see. And she's living in the moment, and it's like, you know what? Just because they put this, ticker over our head, it's like you're never too young or too old to do these things. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, and it's just like, as the kids get older, and it's just like, we don't know what that's going to look like, but, hopefully when they find their forever partner and everything like that, it's like you'll be able to do those things. Because they're living their own life, and it's like, what do you make of that life? What do working hard and saving that money for your trip, and you can sit there and go see these places. You know what I mean? And to see her do these things, I'm just like in such awe of her, and I'm so proud of her. You know what I mean? The fact that she, she faced one of her biggest fears, and she got to see the most beautiful wonders of the world. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, it inspires you. It's just like, yeah. You know what I mean? She did it. She was scared shitless of this, excuse my language, but it's like she still made it happen. So Five of Stones, I feel like it's the Five of Pentacles, and I don't feel like it's the actual pinnacle part of it, we do feel like we're kind of broke when we get, they're showing like the 28th of December. So I feel like, yeah, a lot of us feel that way. It's just like Christmas is over and it's like, oh my gosh, how much did I spend? You know what I mean? That's why I feel like it's like, don't overdo it. And I feel like, they're sitting there and it's just like, in this with the Five of Stones here, it's just like, I feel like depression. I feel like anxiety. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like sadness. It's like, a lot of people get into like, what does my year come up to and what does it look like and what did I do and what did I accomplish? And, sometimes we go a little too deep, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's like, no, another year has passed, especially I would take it as a full moon reflection time. Where were you a year before and where are you a year now? And it's amazing what the difference could be. Even if your situation looks like something, it's like mine looked like that and something came out of the blue and it was a huge blessing. It was a lot of hard work. I'm very lucky to have the people surround me that I do that are very supportive, very understanding. I feel like they give you every opportunity to succeed. You know what I mean? I feel like they are very empathetic and I feel like we're very blessed, to have them. So it's just like, it was, even though it started off crazy and it had nothing to do with them, it was just because the window renovation, then, it was like a freaking wind tunnel in here. I fell under the weather for a bit, but they were just like, here you are and you're under the weather and you're sitting here showing up every day. That they didn't care. They were just like, if you can work, then do it. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm fine with that. And they're like, yeah. They're like, if you can work, they're like, don't push yourself. But they're like, if you could do it, then do it. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, yeah, why not? They always tell us that. Don't push yourself. How many people tell you that? Don't push yourself. They're just like, yeah, whatever. They push you even further. So with the Five of Stones, finding your own values, making discoveries, recognizing your own power. What were we just talking about? Even in this situation where I could have just given up, or I honestly was just like, this is a lot. I was even screaming, uncle. It was just one thing after another. And it's like, instead of fighting with them, I'm like, what can I do to help you make this go faster? You know what I mean? I'm like, no offense to the other people. You know what I mean? I'm like, no offense to them. I said, but I need this to get this done now. And they're like, yep, no problem. He came to me and he's like, oh, I'm glad you're out here. He's just like, can we go in tomorrow? I'm like, they were supposed to come in on Monday. I was supposed to have the weekend. They're like, we could do it tomorrow. I'm like, whatever I could do to get this done. They're like, yep, absolutely. And I was like, oh, thank God. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm just incredibly grateful for that. You know what I mean? That my people were just like, no worries. We got you. We understand life happens. You know what I mean? I never had that kind of support. They're just like, we don't care. You know what I mean? It's just like, they use you until, not this place. They use you until they can use no more until you break. We're here. It's just like, don't push yourself. You know what I mean? And it's just like, wow, okay. You know what I mean? But I definitely don't take advantage of that. I'm like, if I can keep going, I'm going to keep going because I know if I dip out, it's just like, it's going to make it that much harder on everyone else. So it's just like, no. Changing a situation or the way you live because of inner conviction. Yeah, and that's where I felt with myself watching Travel Trails and Mass for Shut-ins when I was going through what I was going through. Sometimes I'll watch multiple times, because especially when it all just was like sinking in of what happened, after Shane passed. And it's just like to hear them like, on the other side of things. And it's just like, you will get on the other side of things. As soon as the widow fog lifted, it was just like I could think clearly. I wasn't struggling so bad because it's just like I could think clearly again. And that's the biggest thing, is to think clearly. When you have that widow fog and you just can't articulate your words or your thoughts, it's just like you just feel exhausted. And the biggest gift I gave to myself was sleeping. I couldn't sleep for more than 4 hours a night. And doing that for a year catches up with you. And then it starts to play on your mental health. And you don't realize that's what it is. Sleep is so important. Put your foot down. Put your phone down and your foot. Those shows will be there tomorrow. I know everybody talks about it around the water cooler and everything like that, but it's just like, you know what? You got to sit there and get that rest. It makes a huge difference in your life and the way you behave and the way that your body functions, your mental health, everything. Get the sleep that you need. You need it. You know what I mean? It's so important. That's when you rest and recover. Try not to eat late because then your body is working the whole time. You know what I mean? So it's just like give your body that whole time to rest. If I'm peckish before I go to sleep, And then I try to sleep, I can't sleep because I'm peckish. But it's just like if I eat, then it's like I have nightmares or I feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? So I wake up better than I was when I finally do fall asleep. You know, you end up, you know, waking up in a better mood because you weren't up all night feeling because you ate something before you went to bed. You know, so it's just like we were talking about everything that you bring in your environment. If it's a loud, chaotic environment, toxic environment, that's how everything's going to be in life. That's why we were talking about this. It's like finding that, you know, peace. You know what I mean? And a lot of people work so hard for that peace, and they'll do anything not to give that up because everything they went through to get it. You know. So I hope you guys enjoyed this forecast and projections for the new moon on November 23rd, 2023 in Sagittarius. You know, just be mindful of yourself and just say, like, you know what, I did the best I could this year. You know, all the best to 2023. We are going to be starting a retrograde the following week. It depends what calendar you look. I'm going by what I first saw, so I feel like it'll start, you know, right around Christmas there, I think around the 23rd. It's just be kind to yourself, you know, don't try to make things more deeper than they need to be. You know, rest and rejuvenation, you know, maybe you're at a job where, you know, they're closed and stuff like that. It's like make most of the time. If you're sleeping, it's because you needed it. I feel like it's like what we make of it. Even in this moment, if it's not the best moment, turn it around. Be that light of your own life. Make your environment the positive environment. Bring that peace into your. Be that peace. Be that light. You know. Just because other people are toxic doesn't mean like you have to be. You know. Be your own person. You know. And if this year wasn't the best, here's to in the next year. Here's to this moment. Don't have to wait until the calendar turns over. Make that change now. You know, I always tell everybody that you don't have to wait for a moon cycle. You don't have to wait for, you know, a month or a day or, you know, a significant event. Like, do it now. Like, if you could change things now, do it now. You know, make those steps, make those changes. It may not be easy. You may be like myself, where everything you got to work really hard for, but at least you're working for it and you're showing the universe, hey, I'm here. I'm willing to put the hard work in, and you know, I will make the most of this opportunity, whatever it is that brings into you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this forecast and projections. May the universe bless you good. We'll see you for the next daily tarot card. Bye.